Hello, squatters. We are back with another one. Let's keep engaging. I hope everyone is super cool. I wanna quickly dwell into the recent interview. Julius Malema's interview, the CIC of the Economic Freedom Fighters. I would like to give him a thumbs up, man, for that interview. And as you always know that, Julius Malema takes interviews seriously. I think that's what I've observed by far, that whenever he takes an interview, he takes it very seriously, and he sticks to the actual cardinal pillars and the clear mandate of the EFF. In fact, I want to put few things on record which are facts and which we can't change. That Julius Malema is the most popular and prominent politician by far. He is even more popular than our president, Cyril Ramaphosa. He is more popular. Julius Malema is popular, and he is known around the continent. If you look at someone like the former president, Jacob Zuma is popular in one province, or maybe two provinces, by the way, KZN and Gauteng. But KZN, he has got a stronghold. That is why you saw a very outstanding performance on the previous election in KZN. But Julius Malema is that kind of a politician who has got a footprint, especially around the African continent. He is number one that I know of by far. So just to make a few things clear, EFF is one political party which has got a clear mandate. Those 7 cardinal pillars, they are clear, straightforward. Nationalization of banks, mines, state becoming the custodian, everything. They are super. They are nice, very attractive. Shiny window shopping. The window shopping looks good. But when you get into the shop to actually wanting to purchase the actual product, I'm referring to having those cardinal pillars now becoming a reality. How to execute. I still get lost on the part of how actually are all this going to be implemented. How is it going to be feasible for those cardinal pillars to really work, to implement them? Because you know why? We have got investors here who are holding on to an economy. They don't want to let it go. They are holding on to an economy, and the ANC seems so fast asleep. I think the ANC is defeated, and they don't want to talk about the economic emancipation, the land. They also failed on the land distribution and all of that. So I think ANC has surrendered to the masters to say, in fact, they've never been willing to, because that policy of willing buyer, willing seller on the land issue failed dismally. And it made the rich elites richer. So EFF is clear on its policies. But my concern is the approach. The approach, because if you look at a leader like Julius Malema, he's militant, he's revolutionary, and I'm a bit worried that a force might somehow be used, So that will create a squabble between, let's say, EFF comes into power, between the EFF as the government and the investors. What I want to see, if you ask me, I want to see a smooth transition, And by the way, when he is further questioned on the part of, and the EFF supporters and members and loyalists, they keep denying the fact that the CIC, Julius Malema, has issued a statement. It's on record, by the way. I don't know why they are disputing it. And they want to contextualize that to further explain and all of that. But exactly what he said was that the illegal immigrants must find other alternative ways to come through to South Africa. That is a fact. And by the way, I made an episode on the same issue that I think that's one of the issues which made South Africans feel more like he is actually promoting, because you are influential and you are a leader and you are uttering this statement on a public platform. So you are actually promoting illegal immigration, which comes with so many issues, by the way. We need to have our brothers and sisters. We want to live together with them, but it must be done the legal way. I think I've mentioned this before, that the government should at least have systems in place to be able to recognize immigrants. Maybe they should go to their embassy, register and have, be on the database of South Africa. Let's say now we have got our own database, which when you put your fingerprints, it shows ID number, everything. Why can't they incorporate all these other African countries not into our database as such, because we are avoiding chaos, but at least they must have a database maybe of Zambia, of Mozambique and Zimbabwe, where they can be able to check on the systems via the database that, this person is actually coming from this country. And another thing, because the immigrants are here already, whether we like it or not, we might have to document them. It's a simple way, because the issue of the Kenny Kunene's deputy president of Patriotic Alliance, the Gayton McKenzie's, the deputy, the president of Patriotic Alliance, that Abahambe, it's not going to work. It's a temporary solution. And by the way, it will cause a chaotic situation, which we will actually never be able to control. And that might turn out into some sort of a civil war, because we have seen recently the DP of Patriotic Alliance posting something on a social media, which is, I found it very insensitive and dehumanizing other people who are also African, and we need to also consider the fact that as much as we build Africa, we should not be enemies with the Western countries, That is why I'm saying, whatever that's being nationalized and all of that, we need to work together. We need to have a smooth transition. Another thing, Africa belongs to all of us. We are all Africans. And for the fact that we continue to hate on one another, it's something that will never work for us. And if you look at the structuring of Africa as a whole, Africans rely on their own economy, selling fruits, veggies, fixing shoes, cutting hair, and all of those things. Informal trading is actually the biggest economy that generates a lot of money in Africa, by the looks, because, employment, I don't know if I should say is because of the high rate of unemployment, but the informal settlement, informal trading generates more, because if you go to places like Tembisa in Gauteng, Tembisa is a location, in Swazini, and you stand there, you look at the traffic of people selling, exchanging, there's so much of economic interaction that people are exchanging money. This one is buying tomatoes, this one is buying. We need such economies because they empower, they expand, they expand our environment of they eradicate poverty, in a sense that a lot of people now will be able to generate some sort of income, because as much as there's a high rate of unemployment, at least if there's informal, that is why I get very much irritated when I see law enforcement officers attacking those people who are selling on the streets, telling them that they are not abiding with the bylaws. The bylaws must just be abolished, because they are creating poverty, because those people cannot find employment. Now they are selling on the streets, and you come with your Metropolis car, and then they run away, you take their stock. And those people, they know, the Metropolis, they take this stock to their homes. There's no way they are registering that. Take tomatoes, everything, they take those things home, which is a worrying factor. I believe, if we had leadership which was having ears to listen, they should at least have some sort of empathy when it comes to that, because as much as you can employ these people, when they try to make ends meet, you still victimize them, which is something that doesn't really make sense. But generally, EFF has got clearer policies than any other political party in South Africa. Those 7 cardinal pillars, even if you can go to ANC, they will tell you about the better life for all and all of that nonsense, which never really worked. ANC has actually drastically failed, dismally failed. It has failed, and I don't see them having any other chance of trying to convince people. You look at Patriotic Alliance, it's so controversial with its own policies, especially the Hangpal, bringing back the rope to hang people, the Abahambe campaign of chasing away illegal immigrants. Actually, all the immigrants, they're saying they don't want any immigrants, according to them, by the way. And you look at MKP, they, maybe we can give them a benefit of that, because they have just, started, they are just trying to regroup. If you look at Democratic Alliance, it's not appealing to black South Africans. It is talking its own language somewhere there in the boardrooms there. So black people are not actually, buying into the story of Democratic Alliance. And if you look at also parties like Freedom Front Plus, they are speaking their own language also. It's not appealing to black South Africans. If you look at Action SA also, it's DA light, kind of. The policies are not clearer. We don't really understand. And the next moment, they are also in the illegal immigration. They capitalize on that. They politicize that. And they want to, score political points based on that issue. So it's also a bit confusing. And if you Also check Musi Maimani's party, Bosa. Bosa is surviving on a life support. I don't know if maybe it's a political party that can convince people based on what. I don't really resonate with their policies. Actually, we can't even understand his message when he tries Musi Maiman, when he tries to articulate his own political party policies. But the EFF has got a chance to regroup, to rebuild, and they must forget about Ndlozi, they must forget about Floyd, and Julius Malema needs to stop being angry at comrades who left him. He must just accept, and I think we need to put that behind us and focus on the way forward. What is it that they have for the people? But by the looks, like I always say, these politicians, they always get distracted by money, corruption, all of that. So no matter how much you convince people that you will build Africa, you will build the powerful economy, I don't want to get into that issue of one currency, one military, one president, because as much as we speak many different languages in Africa, we are far from uniting. We are very far because we are speaking in tongues. We can't understand one another, but we want to unite. So how do we unite while we're speaking in tongues? We don't understand each other. If I go to Kenya now, I will be a foreigner there because I don't know the language. If I go to Namibia, I don't know the language. I can't relate with those people. If I go to Ethiopia, if I go to Burundi, you get what I'm saying. So it will be difficult for me to adjust. With the culture, it's almost the same. I don't have a problem. But the language, to interact, that is why I also raised an issue that why don't we pick one language that we can all switch to? It's very easy to do that. And I mentioned Swahili as one of the languages. I was not really saying let's all switch to this specific. I know that there's also other languages which African countries are speaking, like Arabic. I think Swahili is the third most spoken language in Africa. But Swahili looks pretty much friendly. And if Africans can start learning from that point of view, Uguti, let's learn Swahili. Let's all Africans at least know how to speak and to write Swahili. You know why? Because if the whole of African continent can speak and write one language, it's going to be very easy for all of us in the whole of the African continent to be able to engage now, to interact, cultural interaction and all of that. It becomes much easier. I think it will also ease the hatred amongst us, because now when you look at someone who's speaking a different language, you see a foreigner. Simple as that. So for South Africa to be able to put that in practice, it's easy. Get the Swahili teachers into South Africa and let them at least start teaching Swahili on the most basic level at schools, primary schools, preschools. That's where we must start if we want to really relate. But this is a collective, or this should be a collective decision which is taken by the SADC, the whole continent. All the presidents must agree and sign to this policy. so that when it gets implemented, they roll it out on all African countries. So that if we can be able to speak Swahili, to write Swahili, if you go to any other African countries, you know that it's easy for you to relate with them. Even if you're from South Africa, but you can speak one uniform language which all of us can be able to understand each other. And if we start there, then we can focus on other things. I don't want to talk about one president because our brothers and sisters are so greedy with power. They are power mongers and they love power and all of that. But the part of building one society, African continent, starts from communication. If we can be able to communicate, if we can be able to write, and then I think that's a good start there. I don't know, that's my view, because all these leaders, they claim how they can unite Africa and all of that, but they don't articulate it right from the foundation. How do you actually start to stretch it out? How? Like, you can put all the flowers, it looks beautiful, nice, united Africa, Africans must unite and all of that, because we want to end this xenophobic behavior. You know, we need to deal with this hatred among Africans. And at the same time, while we build Africa, we should also recognize the Western countries, you know, because all of us, in some way, we need each other. We can be able to trade, to do what with China, Britain, Russia, and all of those countries. Let's put politics aside. We need each other. The US, all of those countries. And the funny part is that if we push them away, now we're going to get into wars now. We become enemies. So for us to be able to unite, let us unite. If we fail us amongst ourselves as Africans, let's not expect those people to come and unite. Why should they come and unite us? Why can't we do it ourselves? What is so difficult? That's why I did an episode of children of illegal immigrants should be admitted in South African schools. They should have the right to education because they did not bring themselves into that situation. Whether we say we must start with South Africans or what, but they must just be incorporated into the system. It's very important because they are here at the end of the day, and we can't keep them illiterate and say, no, they are foreigners. They don't deserve to get education. It will be unfair, and we will be perpetuating hatred. Our kids will look at those kids as foreigners, just the same way as we look at their parents as foreigners. I think that, I don't know, scholars, you will have your input in this, and so we can be able to engage, because some of these things, they don't really make sense, and we really need to sit down, cool, with good spirits, and talk about these things. Thank you for watching my content. Let's keep subscribing. Let's keep growing. I'm very much grateful because the viewership is good. The channel is growing. People are subscribing. Click that notification bell when I drop, then you're the first to know. I know recently I'm shooting a bit longer, episodes, because I want to stretch this thing. There are episodes that I can make it short, but some I will have to stretch it a bit so that we get to engage and I get to to express how I actually feel, to give my view, my full view, so you squatters can be able to, to comment based on that. But at the end of the day, it's a fact that Economic Freedom Fighters is a party which has got a clear mandate, and the question is the implementation part. How are you going to roll out all those policies? That's the question that has never been answered. Maybe, by the way, because they've never been in government. And my other problem is the leadership style of the CIC. It's militant, it's revolutionary, and somehow we have seen leaders like the Zimbabwean late former President Robert Mugabe. When you become an autocratic leader to your people, now you start to become an enemy to your people. Now you start to brutalize your people, and you become something else to your people. So let's approach this with good spirit. Thank you for watching my content. Cheers.